our next speaker is Mr. Moritz Fischer from Hamamatsu Photonics Germany. And Mr. Fischer will speak about See the Invisible, cutting-edge InGaAs image sensors, especially for hyperspectral imaging. So, Mr. Fischer, the stage is yours.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Dietrich. What a great chance to be back on trade shows. And I think it is a fantastic opportunity to discuss technology again face-to-face. My name is Moritz Fischer. I'm working at Hamamatsu Photonics as a sales engineer, mainly for analytical and spectroscopic applications. And today I'm going to present our cutting-edge InGaAs image sensors. So InGaAs stands for indium gallium arsenide. We will abbreviate it as InGaAs. And the interesting feature of our sensors is that you can use it in hyperspectral imaging and sorting applications in order to make features visible which silicon-based CMOS sensors cannot achieve. So, for instance, if you think about the global industry, quality inspection is being ramped up steadily. And for example, within fruit sorting, as I will show you later on in more detail, InGaAs image sensor technology is capable of making visible features which silicon sensors simply can't. So what can you expect within the next 15 minutes? At first, I'm going to give a short introduction into our company, Hamamatsu, and why we consider ourselves as a major driver in the photonic industry. Then I'm going to mainly discuss our InGaAs image sensor technology, and I'm going to show you the challenges that we think we have overcome in the past. And I'm going to round this off with two application examples where applications are shown where our InGaAs image sensors can be used. So first off, why is Hamamatsu presenting and exhibiting at the Vision? Hamamatsu was founded approximately 70 years ago in the Japanese city of Hamamatsu. And since then, we have grown our network in the photonic industry ever since. I think there are two major aspects which make Hamamatsu a very nice and unique company. And that is first, we are present all over the globe and in direct contact with our customers. And second, we put a lot of effort into technology and research and development. That means 10% approximately of our revenue goes back into R&D. So we are always ahead of technology. And in the course of our existence, we have contributed to 3 Nobel Prizes, and by now we have registered more than 15,000 products. Therefore, the range of products is really huge, and you can come to us for a lot of different components from the illumination side and also from the detector side. So we have lasers, classical arc lamps, photodiodes, cameras, pretty much everything you can ask for. And today I'm going to pick out our indium gallium arsenide sensors. And that is because we have seen in the last couple of years that there is a big trend towards increased usage of these sensors in analytical and spectroscopic applications. If we have a look at the spectrum and where we can put in our InGaAs sensors, let's have a look at the chart here. So for the visible spectrum, silicon is really a nice and mature technology. It's good to use, it's cheap, everything is fine, up to 1,000 nanometers. So at 1,000 nanometers, silicon cannot detect light anymore. And here is where indium gallium arsenide kicks in. So indium gallium arsenide has a standard cutoff of approximately 1,700 nanometers. But that's not the end of the story, because you can choose compositions of this compound semiconductor material, which is called extended InGaAs, which then has an extended sensitivity range up to approximately 2.5 microns. So in the chart, you can see our wavelengths that we offer as standard. And as you can see, there are several levels between 1.7 and 2.5 microns. So dependent on what you want to do with our sensor technology, we have the suitable sensor at hand. And as a little look into the future, we're also currently working on an environmentally friendly material for middle infrared imaging. This is then based on indium arsenide antimonide. However, this is not yet as mature as silicon and indium gallium arsenide, so this will be a thing of the future in our opinion. So, as I said in the beginning, indium gallium arsenide had to overcome several challenges in the past in order to be a broadly used and well-usable material for detection and camera applications. These are, for instance, cutoff wavelength. We need to be able to control the cutoff wavelengths of our sensor precisely. Resolution. In order to get meaningful details out of your imaging applications, we need to make sure that our sensors have sufficient resolution, sufficient amount of pixels on the chip. Speed. What is a vision application without sufficient speed? So for high throughput, we need to be able to combine our InGaAs chips with sufficient throughput. And lastly, sensitivity and dark current are the most important factors in order to achieve a good signal-to-noise ratio so that your evaluation of images can give good details, a good amount of information. And at Hamamatsu, in the course of the last decades, we have tackled these challenges and we have progressed our technology ever since. That means we are now able to precisely control our cutoff wavelengths. We are able to produce sensors with low noise, low dark current, excellent pixel uniformity, and also we can offer nowadays a various range of packages so that you have the flexibility in design in your applications. If you, for instance, want to perform imaging tasks in a scanned fashion, we have a plethora of sensors, again with this cutoff wavelength range up to 2.5 microns. We put a tremendous amount of effort into good signal quality. We have a low amount of defect pixels in our sensors, and again, I want to focus, we have very much different package styles dependent on what you need. We have Peltier-cooled packages for best signal-to-noise ratio, and we also have low-cost packages. And if you need assistance with your scanning mechanism, we are also advancing our two-dimensional mirrors since they exist. However, I think for this trade show here, two-dimensional area image sensors are much more interesting. And again, here we have come pretty far in the course of the last couple of years. So our two-dimensional image sensors manage a speed up to more than 500 frames per second by now. We employ a region of interest mode in our two-dimensional InGaAs sensors. We have different package styles. So for example, again, for best signal-to-noise ratio, especially for extended indium gallium arsenide, you will want to lay the focus on Peltier-cooled packages, but also for applications up to 1.7 micrometers. We can provide you with sensors in compact outline, transistor outline packages, for example, for airborne drone applications. Now I want to lay a focus on the amount of defect pixels and on the signal quality again. Oh, hold on. Also, in terms of packages, if you want to start out with our sensors, we can also offer you our sensor heads, which are kind of evaluation modules with which you can easily start to integrate our sensors, so with which you can perform the research and development work. So now, again, let's lay a focus on the image quality and on what we think makes us unique in the market of component manufacturers in this field. So our expertise with InGaAs sensors is mainly that we are the market leader in terms of extended InGaAs sensor quality. That means, where this has come from, let's have a look at the structure of our sensors. InGaAs is usually grown on a substrate of indium phosphate. So the green dots here represent the indium phosphate, And in the standard wavelength range, the regular InGaAs material is matched to the indium phosphate substrate. That means the lattice constants are matched and there is no mismatch. That means it's rather uncomplicated to achieve sensor quality with a low amount of defect pixels. However, if we step further and have a look at the extended InGaAs range, we need to keep in mind that the different composition of indium, gallium, and arsenide will cause that the lattice constant will be altered. And that affects, in the end, that there is a lattice mismatch between the die, between the InGaAs die, and the indium phosphate substrate. And if you are not able to control this process very precisely, you will end up with sensors which show a lot of defect pixels, a lot of crystal defects, a lot of hot pixels. And those will be, of course, detrimental for the overall image quality, for the analyses that you can make with the sensors in your camera. And for this reason, we also put lots of efforts into the selection of sensors that you can buy. So we make sure that especially in the interior parts of our sensors, that there are a low amount of defect pixels, so that the spectra and the images that you can record with our sensors have the best quality available. Another interesting feature of our company is that we are a middle-sized company. That means what we can be proud of is that we are pretty much flexible to react on your requests for customizations. For instance, if you ask for it, and if you think that there is the chance to make a good and viable product, we are not only relying on the standard pixel formats such as VGA or QVGA. Instead, we can make other pixel size sensors as well. And what I think is interesting as well, we have the technology to put together multiple InGaAs dies on one sensor chip. What could this look like? For instance, like this. So here you can see a model of us putting together 3 different indium gallium arsenide chips, 3 different dies, with 3 different cutoffs, here in red, green, and blue, onto one chip. That means for hyperspectral imaging applications in the near-infrared, you will always have the best signal-to-noise ratio in each part of the spectrum. And of course, this would be beneficiary for your analyses, for the information that you want to extract from your imaging applications. However, if you do not want to take care of all of these aspects, you can also get back to our ready-made camera products. So next to our sensors as standalone component, we also offer our sensors as ready-made camera products. So these include line scan sensors and area sensors, which are then pretty much plug and play. So we serve the common interfacing options on the market, and compared to our modules, these cameras have many image processing features already on board. So these comprise, for instance, background correction, shading correction, and the like. And we also provide you then with the needed drivers so that you can easily integrate our cameras into your application. Enough about the technology. Let's have an outlook into applications in which our sensors and cameras can be well used. For this, I would like to get back to my starting slide, where we have shortly seen an example of a fruit sorting application. And this could look, for instance, like this. If you are interested not only in sorting the color of your fruit or your vegetables, but instead also in the quality in terms of potential damages, bruises, and so on, our camera and sensor technology can make great benefits. Why is that? If a fruit, for instance, is damaged, it will then create an enrichment of water under the skin of the fruit at this location. And this enrichment of water can be made visible with our near-infrared sensors, because the water has a strong absorption band in the near-infrared, at approximately 1.45 microns or 1.9 microns. You can see it pretty nicely on the exemplary image on the bottom left, how the silicon-based CMOS sensor is capable of doing color sorting applications. However, if you want to check the inherent quality, you need to get back to our InGaAs sensors. Let's skip this one. Similar principle, water inspection is always a nice feature. However, what I think is interesting is hyperspectral imaging applications. If we take a look at global plastic production, the OECD shows us greatly that we need to lay, as a global society, a larger focus on plastic recycling. So recycling needs not only to be fast, but also precise. And a big problem here is that many of our plastic materials that we use in today's society are transparent to light. So we cannot easily distinguish them. And in a typical recycling plant, our InGaAs sensors can be greatly beneficial, and that is because the extended InGaAs range is very much needed for these kind of applications, because the spectral signatures, the spectral fingerprints of these kinds of materials rely heavily on the extended InGaAs range. So here is really where our sensors excel. And with our sensors, we can kind of make the transparent, colorless plastics colorful. I'm finished with content. Thank you for listening. And I think we have 2 more minutes for questions, Mr. Dietrich.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for staying perfectly in time. We do have some time for some questions. And first question is, concerning the application, what do you recommend your customers? Bigger pixels or more pixels? And concerning the SNR, is it possible to achieve the same SNR by binning in comparison to the bigger pixel?
So I think you always need to keep in mind that there is a certain trade-off between these aspects. Of course, larger pixels are capable of collecting more light. However, you either need to make use of a larger sensor, where the larger sensor surface will cause an increase in price. And if you take the large sensor size, the amount of material stays the same. But of course, if you choose larger pixels, your resolution will be less. So in this case, you always need to keep in mind what does your application has to achieve. And also, which spectral quality do you need in hyperspectral applications? So that will very much depend on how broad are your spectral features. Or if you think about the spatial resolution, you will have to keep in mind how small are the features that I need to extract. And also, what can my optics achieve? So there will always be a certain trade-off in the end.
Okay, thanks for answering this difficult question. Last question, because we have to stay in time. Concerning the development and maybe some strategic decisions of Hamamatsu, will you focus more on the components or on the complete ready-to-use systems, or both, or will be also there a trade-off?
So thanks for this question. Our home address is definitely the component side. So we have grown very much on a component level. And I think also that you always have to combine these both fields. So of course, from a technology perspective, camera technology can grow and can be advanced if the sensor technology keeps up. And therefore, those are kind of intertwined, of course. But as I mentioned in the beginning, at Hamamatsu, we put a lot of effort into R&D, and therefore you can expect innovations in the future.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much again.